Brilliant. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Lily Dixon. I'm the FCP Education Lead for BNSSG, and this is just a quick webinar to go through a independent prescribing annual auditing tool that I've developed following on the survey that I completed last year. And one of the big things is that people are aware they need to audit their prescribing practice, but didn't know how, and there wasn't anything out there. So I've put together this auditing tool. By no means is this mandatory for you. It's there to support you if you want to use it. If you have something else within your own practice, PCN that you're using already, absolutely fine. So this is just the one that I've put together, and you can use it or not use it. So I've put it across as an Excel spreadsheet that is editable. So hopefully this will be nice and easy for everybody. So we've got a few tabs at the bottom. So we've got a brief introduction about why is the importance of auditing and where we come from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society and the CQC and what their stance on it. And some of the key things about once a clinician becomes a qualified independent prescriber, you must keep up to date. It's not just once you've completed your qualification, then you're fine. We all know we need to continue with our CPD. Okay. So at the bottom of this, I've got some links here to some your individual professional standards and guidelines. So it covers or pharmacists or physios or dietitians or paramedics or nurses. It's all in there for you. And some of the stances from your colleges as well is in there, which I think is very helpful. So how do we complete this? It's a really easy guide. Like I said, it is for you to do with how you want to. Okay. So the first step is getting your prescriptions. I've got a separate presentation that I will share with you, which is a step-by-step guide, picture guide on how to complete an EMIS prescription search. So this is one ways that you can do it. There you can log your prescriptions how you want to and find them, or you can get someone within your team to find a few prescriptions for you. However you choose to do it, I've put a guide together how you can do it on EMIS, but essentially you need to get your prescriptions together. From those prescriptions, you're going to select either 10 random prescriptions. Now I've chosen 10 because there's no set number out there. The Royal College GPs suggest 10 to 20, so I'm going with their number. Of other audit tools out there have 3 or 4. I thought 10 was a good number. Okay, but there's no evidence towards that number. So you can select 10 random prescriptions, absolutely fine. Or because this is supposed to be for your own learning as well, it's not just a tick box exercise. You can also choose to do 10 targeted prescriptions aligned to any kind of work streams or learning needs that you may have. So this may be around pediatric prescriptions, antibiotic prescribing, pain management. You can aim it towards that as well. Remember, this is learning for you as well. It's a reflective tool. And you're going to self-audit against 7 points. Now, I will show you the 7 points in a moment. So you're going to self-audit, and then you're going to get someone to peer review those same prescriptions, and they're going to audit it as well. And that allows them to highlight anything that you may not have realised, because we're all stuck in our own practices. We may not be aware of things. So you audit yours using guidelines, the 7 points, and then someone else peer reviews those same prescriptions and audits it as well. And this peer reviewer can be any independent prescriber, and I would say from 3 years above, because I'm using the same guidelines we'd have for the designated prescribing practitioner rules. So an experienced prescriber, GP, nurse, paramedic, physio, whoever. And then step 5, it's kind of, again, not mandatory. You can reflect on any prescribing errors. I think it's wise. If anything's popped up, reflect on those, create an action plan for how you're going to meet those, any errors that you might have made or any learning events. And at the end, you're going to complete an annual declaration. Okay, so I'll just quickly go to the declaration. At the end, these are points that I've taken from the Royal Pharmaceutical Society, get that out. About your accountability. This is self-declaration. about that you feel that you're fit to practice and you're continuing with your ongoing professional development. So this is kind of what you assign at the end. Okay. So what does this audit look like? Very simple. Okay. You're going to find once you've got all your prescriptions, you could either select randomly 10 or, like I said, target. You're going to put in your EMIS number. Remember, EMIS numbers are not patient identifiable outside your own practice. So even within your PCN, it's practice based. So these aren't identifiable. So it's safe to put that in there unless someone else has access to EMIS. No one else is going to know what they are. Age, absolutely not identifiable, so it's really important. Gender, the date of your issue, and we've put initiated or repeat. You know, we can argue some of you might just want to look at those that you've initiated, but I do appreciate there's some learning to be done around when you've repeated medication, because that is a prescribing event in itself, and whether you need to reflect on, did you look at to ensure that they're kept up to date with their monitoring, they're taking their medication regularly. So you can choose to put that if you initiated it or it's a repeat prescription for someone else. What's the medication? Dosage as written. This is really important because this is a learning event. Have you written it correctly? Is it easy for the patient to understand? I think sometimes we get in a habit of using the auto select sometimes on how a prescription should be written. But certainly sometimes every 6 hours can be a bit confusing to some people. The quantity, your linked problem, you might find there's not a linked problem to all of them, but you may want to go back in after to find what was the reason for the prescription. And then we're going into the 7 points. The 7 points is, was it the right drug, right dose instructions, right follow-up, right documentation, right review? Was it good prescribing practice? Was there any prescribing errors? And what are the comments? Okay, you may not have something to put in every single one of those, but it's why this is kind of what you're looking at when you're looking at that prescription and you're self-reflecting on it. Okay, and then exactly, you have your peer review does the exact same thing. Okay, so what are those 7 points? So this is taken from, hopefully, from the Royal College of GP for their trainee GPs when they're looking at their prescribing practices. Okay, and it's looking at some points when you're self-reflecting. Is it the right drug? And you self-reflect, asking you these questions. You don't need to answer every question, but just have a think when you're looking at that prescription. Was it the right drug? Did I think about all of these things? Was it the right dosage instructions? Did I think about these things? Okay, and there's a reference there back to the Royal College of GPs for their format as well. I think it just helps to kind of question yourself, and then it helps for your peer reviewer to question. Okay, and I think this is very important when we come back into our documentation. Documentation is really key within when we're writing notes and consultations. You know, did we clearly state we've had those discussions? And hopefully from this self-reflection, you will come back and realize, actually, maybe I do need to document things a bit better. Certainly, when we've come towards clinical negligence, one of the key things that we found when a lawyer's gone through it is very much around poor documentation. So document. Are you documenting correctly? Okay. So simple as that. Then we've got an episode for reflection logging. All of you might have seen these, especially those of you who've done the FCP portfolios. You can reflection there. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. There's also a bit in there about any significant prescribing incidences. I'm pretty sure everybody who's qualified as an independent prescriber has had somewhat of whether it was a minor or significant. It just allows you there as a one place to put all that stuff in about your prescribing practice and to reflect on. You know, it's really important to reflect on any kind of errors, whether it had any severe effect to that patient or not. It helps your learning, but this isn't mandatory. It's just there if you need to. And there's a personal development plan there as well for you to put in if there's any learning you want to do. Again, it's not mandatory. I highly recommend you putting something there to help you guide you what's your plans for your following CPD for the next year. Okay, then you got your declaration and it's all done. So this is a really simple example. I can add some more in here about what it might look like. So we've got Mickey Mouse. I should have said Minnie actually here, shouldn't I? 22-year-old female, and we gave them some Penvy, 1 tablet 4 times a day, as written on the packet. The linked problem, and then we looked at, these are the simple comments that you can put in. So was it the right drug? We're using those 7 points. We reported those specifically. We asked about allergies. We indicated within our notes that it was correct antibiotic as per the local guidelines. You might put as per NICE guidelines. I think this is really key when you're writing your consultations. I mean, you probably are doing this already. Was it the right dose? Go back to, is it age specific? Did it correlate with what's advised in local guidelines and the national guidelines and BNF? Was there right follow-up? So in here you're putting, did you clearly write what red flags to look out for when we're managing tonsillitis? You know, prescribing isn't just about the drug itself, it's holistic management of that patient. Documentation, here you could look at some scoring, some fever pain or center scores. And then you can put a comment here about good prescribing. So use of local infection guidelines, use of scoring tools to determine antibiotics needs, and good safety netting. And that's it. It's really simple. It shouldn't be onerous for you. And that's it. So I'll stop sharing my screen for a moment. And then so I can see everybody. So has anybody got any questions about that? It's really quick.
No, thanks, Lee. I think that was really clear and really helpful. Mary's put in the chat about the RPS guidance as well. You said about the going. Are you going to go through how to do it on EMIS?
Yes. Do you want me to show you that document, everybody?
It might be worth, and then it's there. That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I know this is transcribing as well. I'm not sure how we can get rid of that, but share this for you. So some of you can everybody see that fine?
Yeah.
So some of you may already know how to do audit searches on EMIS. Some of you, your practices might be doing this for you. Some of your team might actually be auditing your prescribing anyway. So you can either try and do this self. It's actually quite simple, and once you have it set up on EMIS, it's individual to you, and it will remain on there. And you can, once it's set up, every year you can just put conduct search, and it will do it. So it's really simple. It's just quite a long bit of an onerous process to set it up, but once it's done, it's fairly simple. Okay, so it just looks like this. It's a really step-by-step guide. I've tried to make it as easy as possible on how to physically set up an audit. Okay, so hopefully this is a picture guide for everybody, and it literally it'll go through step by step how to create this. It's quite a lot, but you can do it, and you can add as many rules to it as well if you want to. But what you should end up with, if I keep going through, once you've got your report, you will get something like this, and you can have it. It automatically will give you a year's, but you can shorten that to 6 months if you want to. You can shorten it or widen it if you want to. But this is what you'll get. You'll get an Excel spreadsheet with all this information, and so you can just take all that information. So for this person, I've done it on is that's over 1,000 prescriptions in a year this person has done. So it's quite a lot. I'm not sure if it will also pick up repeats prescriptions. So when you've gone through EPS, some of you might use EPS and you're just doing, you're going through those repeat requests. I don't know if it will pick up those as well, or it will just pick up the ones you physically have prescribed. Because when you do EPS, it kind of shows that it was the original prescriber when you've done a repeat. So just be aware of that it may or may not. And you'll just get an Excel spreadsheet like this, and then you can import it into and you can select 10 of them and be done with that.
Thank you. There was a question from Rach, which I answered. It said, sorry, she missed the start about all the documents. I said that you were going to send them out. Plus, we'll put them on our website after April, hopefully before then, but what they will be available. Is that right, Lily?
Yeah, so I will say this is a draft. I'm going to put this out there for the next month as a draft. I want you, if anybody's happy to try it out for me, and then I'll send out a survey for feedback and see if there's anything we need to tweak with it. And then once everybody's happy and feels like it works, I will upload it up onto the website. But certainly I think in the first month, because I produced it from my point of view, and I think it's fairly straightforward, but I'd rather have everybody's point of view from it. And if you find that think you need to add something, remove something, it's unless you're going through it, I need the feedback to say, yeah, this works, and then we'll have that as its version. But I think for the next month I'll share it out, but it'll be very much a draft. Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. Has anybody got any questions? Does it seem really straightforward? Yeah. Has anybody got any worries about it?
Everyone's loving it at the minute, so I think it just is testament, really. Thanks so much for everything that you've done. I think it's really helpful. And like you say, it's a bit of trial and error, isn't it? Now we've just got to all test it, see how we get on, and then just make sure that we feedback so that we're continuously improving it and making sure that it fits for what everyone needs. Thank you.
There you go. There. I will say I did take this from the with advice from the Royal College GP. I did kind of steal a bit of stuff from this because if it works for trainee GPs, we know it's a good standard. But I appreciate trying to navigate the one that's up there for the Royal College GP trainees. It's quite hard, so I try to make it a bit easier. And it's I'd rather I want this to be useful for you as a clinician. It shouldn't be just, oh, I have to do this. We know we should do it, but it should be useful for you for your self-reflection. I think we all get stuck in our own habits, and I think we forget what stuff pops up in new guidelines. So I think hopefully this should be a very good self-reflective tool. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Rachel. I'll end this recording now.